This is the introduction to the CWHH Level 1 advanced course. So let's first study the psychology of an attacker. What motivates him? The first one is, of course, fame, in which he wants to show off to his friends, or he wants his hack to come in the news. And this will be sort of an ego boost for the hacker. The next one would be money, and that is pretty obvious because there is a lot of money behind cybercrime, like credit card hacking or selling lots of accounts to other hackers, lots of things. And the next one would be disgruntlement, in which a hacker is very angry or wants to destroy a company or a person. He might target that individual. After hacking, the main purpose would either be to destroy the information there and thus cause economical and lots of problems to the person who's being attacked. And the next one would be gathering of information and for espionage purposes. So what are some basic hacker methodologies? The first one is recon, in which he tries to gather as much information about the victim as possible. And the next one might be DOS or DDoS, in which the hacker disrupts the communication between a server and the normal users such that they're not able to visit it normally, and that way he's stopping clients from maybe visiting a shopping website, or maybe he's making the website go down before a big business order. So the person on the other end of the business line would think maybe this company does not even have a website properly, all those sort of things. And the next one would be website hacking, in which a person hacks a website in order to maybe attack its users or reduce the website's reputation and all those sort of things. And the next one would be email hacking, in which the attacker attacks the email server and steals the emails of a particular person or the entire email server. And the next one will be data server hacking, in which data servers get hacked for the valuable information that they have inside. And the next one would be some individual who's in some sort of top management position, and they get hacked because they might have some information which the hacker needs, or he's being paid to steal. So let's look at the different types of attackers. Gray hats, who are both white hat hackers and black hat hackers. And black hat hackers are the criminal hackers or crackers. They're the sort of people who do credit card hacking, or hacking into a website and stealing the databases of users and infecting people with viruses, etc. A white hat hacker is a penetration tester when he tests a website or a product after the client tells him to do it, and he is being paid to find vulnerabilities and report them. The next type of new hackers are bounty hunters. These are white hat hackers who do black box testing without actual proper permission from the company. Some websites might have bug bounty programs, and those bug bounty programs say that, if you find vulnerabilities, you can report to the company and they might reward you. And if a company does not pay the bounty, some of them might publish it in underground, and that makes them black hat hackers. And some might release them openly before they're fixed, and that makes them gray hats. So let's look at vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. Vulnerability assessment and penetration testing means finding vulnerabilities in a website or a server or in a process. And white box testing is when you know what technology is running in the background, you have access to the source code and all those sort of details. That is, and after that you test. That is white box testing. And black box testing is when you don't know much about the server. Maybe you might be given an IP address and that's all. And after that, you have to find what operating system it's running, what technologies it's running, etc. And technical risk assessment is assessing the risk posed by a certain process, not the actual implementation of the processes, but simply the processes themselves, and telling where the problems might arise. So let's get to the topics.
In this presentation, let us go ahead and look into the most of the used web application pen testing browser add-ons. So starting off with, let us go ahead and know more about the HCon security testing framework. So basically, HCon STF framework is a semi-automated tool, but then it is basically a Mozilla Firefox variant. So it can be used in all kind of security testing stages. It has tools for conducting tasks like web application penetration testing, web exploits development, web malware analysis, and open source intelligence. So basically, who should use this HCon STF framework? So basically, it is very flexible and good enough for any sort of IT security professionals, bug bounty hunters who are a new class of hackers basically in today's world, and then web developers, then IT students, or anyone who's a security enthusiast or more interested in IT security. So features. So it is fully customizable, and it is more versatile in usage and can be used in many web-based hacking needs. And it's moreover simple and easy to use interface, and moreover it's small in size and also portable and light on resources. So it basically contains hundreds of features that are aimed at web application penetration testing, web exploits development, web malware analysis, and OSINT and cyber spying. So exploitation ready. Then it is also known as it is basically very comprehensive, and it has got plenty of tools for exploitation, and it also supports verbose debugging features for web exploit development. So the web UI, okay, so HCon STF contains a blend of online and offline tools for penetration testing, and this is called as web UI, so which includes most of these scanners, encoders, and various other different tools. So there is another feature called as IDP, which stands for integrated database. So this contains a huge amount of data related to web payloads, such as the SQL injection or the cross-site scripting or the LDAP injection or command execution. So OSINT ready. So the HCon STF framework helps in many open source intelligence based tasks such as passive web and network recon, or doxing, or cyber spying, or hash cracking. So there are a huge amount of plugins that are actually found in this tool. So that counts up to more than 165 in number. So it is also obfuscation ready. So it has got plenty of encoding and decoding features and hashing features and tools. So it also supports wide variety of formats and character set and algorithms for making payloads undetectable. So it has got various different encryption and decryption schemes as well. So now coming to the reporting part. So it has got an enhanced reporting feature, so that contains many integrated useful reporting features such as taking screenshots, note taking, then session saving and exporting, then custom URL logging, then automated request logging. So coming to the Hacker Hybrid. So basically Hacker Hybrid is a set or a collection of huge amount of learning bookmarks, and this is really helpful for any hacker, because bookmarks and hackers tend to read more and more stuffs on the internet. So this is a whole library for any hacker, because it has got various different resources that are being brought in from various different parts on the internet and are being segregated as per what information they actually tend to give. So our next tool that we are going to be talking about is the Firebug, so which is also a Mozilla Firefox add-on. So the Firebug tool add-on is basically present in the HCon STF framework itself. So let us go ahead and know more about the Firebug add-on. So basically Firebug is a Firefox browser add-on again, so that allows us to edit, debug and monitor HTML, cascading style sheet and JavaScript on any web page, and it also allows us to explore the document object model to create CSS selectors in conjunction with JavaScript so as to create dynamic web pages. So the download link for this add-on is being given here, but then you can go ahead and even Google search online. So it's just a Google search away again. So working with Firebug, so basically Firebug is located in the editors and debugger section of the HCon STF framework. You can go ahead and open it up from there, or you can either use the shortcut key, that is the F12. So basically the Firebug has got plenty of different tabs that are available in its console, in its UI. So the first tab basically is the console tab. So it is used to enter and execute JavaScript commands. So as we can see in the right panel, it generally displays JavaScript error message log. So the next tab is the HTML tab, which basically shows the HTML as document object model nodes in an indented format. So the individual nodes can be expanded or contracted to show or hide other child nodes. The CSS tab is used generally to display all CSS style sheets with the CSS inspector tab and modify the styles as per the user needs. So the next tab is the DOM tab. So basically this displays the DOM page, objects and properties of the window. So the net tab displays all the requirement times for all HTTP requests for a given web page. So this tool is really handy for any developer or a tester to go ahead and change most of the value or the content in the web page, and it is best suited for finding vulnerabilities such as clickjacking or UI redressal attacks, HTML injection, and most of the security misconfigurations. So the next Firefox add-on that we are going to be talking about is the tamper data. So basically tamper data is a must-have Mozilla Firefox add-on in any of the web application penetration testers toolbox. So this is generally used by most of the penetration testers on the in the globe. So let us go ahead and know more about the tamper data. Though the demo part of this will be again taken in a different video, but then let us go ahead and check out the PPT to gather more and more information about this particular tool. So introduction part. So tamper data is again basically a Firefox add-on which is generally used to view, record and modify outgoing HTTP requests. So with tamper data we can see the cookies that are being sent to the browser and what is the browser returning. So it is also used to check what kind of HTTP authentication is happening. Then it also is used to check whether the cookie has been marked secure or not. So there are various different columns in the tamper data. So these different columns in the tamper data actually mean these different things that are generally listed below here, given here. So the time column basically tells us the time when the request happened. The duration tells us how long it took to be retrieved. Then the total duration tells us how long it took to render. Then it also includes the response download time of item and all sub items. Then the size column basically tells us the size of received content. So the -1 here indicates the item that was loaded from the cache. Then the method column here, it indicates the HTTP method issued, whether it was get or post. Then the status column again tells us about the HTTP status code that was received. Then the content type column here tells us about the type of data that was received. Then the URL column here again tells us more about the URL of request. Then the load flags again tells us the load flags column tells us about the additional HTTP information used in retrieving or rendering the content. So basically these are different columns that are generally there in the tamper data Mozilla Firefox add-on. But then this is a completely theory, but then we really need to know about all these before going ahead and performing our demo. So this is basically the how the tamper data actually looks like. So we could see here the various different columns that are present in the tamper data. So this particular Mozilla Firefox add-on is majorly helpful in finding SQL injection, cross-site scripting, then cross-site request forgery, then most of the security misconfigurations, then authentication related vulnerabilities, and plenty of many other more vulnerabilities as well. So next we are going to go ahead and check out another Mozilla Firefox add-on called as the live HTTP headers. So basically live HTTP headers is pretty similar to the tamper data add-on. So but the method, the way actually how the live HTTP header does is pretty different from how the tamper data actually does its work. So as in we were able to see tamper data actually has got various different columns, but then in live HTTP headers it just tries to record the header information, and which allows the user to go ahead and replay any sort of request or any sort of parameter that could be changed and again resent to the server. So basically again the live HTTP headers is again a Mozilla Firefox add-on, which is generally used to view a website's header information. So HTTP header information is really useful during a penetration testing, so as to know how the application is communicating with the server. So header information generally contains data such as the character set, the language, the caching, then the authorization and content expiration. So this tool really comes in handy during a web application penetration testing. So again, this is one of the tools that is a must-have for any sort of penetration tester, and it is moreover used by most of the penetration testers across the globe. So this tool is best suited for finding vulnerabilities such as SQL injection, cross-site scripting, then cross-site request forgery, then most of the security misconfigurations, then vulnerabilities that are related to authentication, that is authentication related vulnerabilities, and many other more different vulnerability types. So next Firefox add-on that we're going to be talking about is the hack bar extension. So basically this is an extended version of the URL bar, which allows the hacker or a penetration tester to go ahead and check for any sort of issues with the URL or the parameters in the URL. So let us go ahead and see how this thing actually works. So for a site owner, it is really important to safeguard their site from most of the attacks that could be performed using whether it be the tamper data or live HTTP headers or various other different add-ons. So in the defense part, let us see how this could probably be avoided by the site owners. So basically the first would be the client-side validation is one of the major defenses that could be implemented as a part of the defense, so which is really important so as to safeguard one's site from most of the attacks. And moreover, validation should be performed at every tier, and then the implementing integrity checks to ensure that the data is not tampered. So this actually plays a major role in so that the data is integrated. And then we need to make sure that the data is not just validated but is also business rule correct. But then one of the major things would be that implementation of a web application firewall, which could actually prevent most of the attacks to some extent, because even most of the times it is possible for an attacker to bypass the web application firewall, but then in most of the cases it is possible for a WAF to prevent most of the attacks. So Hackbar is again a Mozilla Firefox add-on that actually comes in handy for testing vulnerabilities such as SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and various security misconfigurations in the web application. So it is majorly useful for developers to test their code for security issues. So some of the main features of this particular Mozilla Firefox add-on is post data manipulation, then referrer string manipulation, then the implementation of SHA-1 and SHA-256 encryption, then ROT13 encryption, then XSS strings. So this particular tool is best suited for finding vulnerabilities such as SQL injection, cross-site scripting, or any or most of the security misconfigurations. So now let us go ahead and have a demo on all these tools that we were actually talking about in the presentation.
So coming down to the demo part of the tamper data, we are using the OWASP WebGoat vulnerable web application for this. So let us go ahead and open up the tamper data in the HCon STF framework. So once the tamper data is open, we are going to start tampering. And in the web application, we can see that we could go ahead and change the quantities here of the HDTV there. So we could go ahead and change it to 1 or 2 or 3, and accordingly the prices get changed. So once you click on the purchase, the tamper data box pops up and we could go ahead and tamper. So in the quantity parameter there, we can change the value to probably anything we want. So example as 3, and we can even go ahead and change the price to whatever we want. After that, we're going to click OK. So we are going to stop tampering here. So after that is done, we see that we were successfully able to complete this lesson wherein we were able to tamper the data using tamper data, and we were able to buy things for a very less rate. So this was about tamper data.
Go ahead and have a deeper look into the HCon STF framework. So as we talked about HCon STF framework in the presentation part, so now let us go ahead and look into the various different tools that are available for the penetration testing. So as we can see here, this is the basic interface and the basic screen of the HCon STF framework. So here we could go ahead and click on this tab called as tools, which would list all the tools that are available in the HCon STF framework. But then looking at so many tools, this would probably be more confusing. So there is another option here right next to it where we could click, and things are pretty much segregated as per their classifications. So we could go ahead and click on any of the tools that we would want to use, and there is another there's a sidebar here which also has some of the tools, well-known tools that are generally used by penetration testers, such as the live HTTP headers or the Hackbar, or you have the default user agent, wherein you could go ahead and change the user agent required. And this on the main screen, you could see here the various different links to various sites, wherein, for example, if we click on the port scanners, so this has got the list of various different websites that offer the online port scanning. So we could go ahead and click here so as to perform a port scan onto any site using the online available sites. Or if you want to add any new information here or any other new link here, you could go ahead and click right click here and add a new URL, and go ahead and put in your new link. And one of the most important part here is, for any hacker or a penetration tester, it is really necessary to update himself with all the new information available in the InfoSec community. So this is something which is really necessary. So as we could see here in the bookmarks tab, so there is something called as Hacker Hybrid. So that lists all the various different resources and links that are being shared here. And we have, there are plenty of sites wherein anyone could go and increase their knowledge onto regarding the information security. And then apart from this, one of the other best part would be the reporting part. So when you're doing the penetration testing, it is really necessary that you would have to make notes, for which there is quick fox notes available into this HCon STF framework. So as and when your penetration testing is going on, you could on the other side you can go ahead and make notes as well. So this was about HCon STF framework. Thank you.
So in this video, we are going to be looking into the demo of a vulnerable web application called as Hack Me Casino that is available on the internet. So we're going to go ahead and start the Hack Me Casino server. So once it is started, we can go ahead and open up our browser. And Hack Me Casino is really important in this video series because in most of the demos, we'll be using Hack Me Casino for various different Firefox add-ons demos. So we're going to unblock this here. So once we open up our browser, let us go ahead and connect to the Hack Me Casino. So Hack Me Casino. So we're going to type in localhost :3000. So by default, Hack Me Casino is actually available at localhost :3000. So but then we need to log in to use this, but then we actually don't have any login details available with us. So what we are going to do is we are randomly going to type in any strings there. And randomly we're going to give in some keywords there and see if we could log in there. Okay, so we get an error that says login unsuccessful, please try again. But then let us go ahead and see if this login box is vulnerable to SQL injection, for which we are going to give an SQL injection payload. So this is one of the very basic SQL injection payloads. So let us go ahead and just copy this and paste it again in the password box. So we try to log in there, but then we tend to see another error message that says an error occurred during login, please try again. So we see that the error messages are verbose, so which means that this might be vulnerable to SQL injection. So let us go ahead and give in another SQL injection payload, so which is a logically true statement again. So we're going to copy paste that here again. So we try to log in. And yeah, we were able to successfully log into the first user that was being there in the database. So this is about the vulnerable web application called as Hack Me Casino.
This is the section on Shodan, and you can go to Shodan website by going to shodanhq.com, and we'll see what it's about. Shodan is a computer search engine developed by a web developer called John Martley, and it is a very different sort of search engine. It's not like Google or Yahoo or Bing. It does different functions in them. So we'll see what those functions are. So Shodan, instead of indexing web pages or websites, it checks IP addresses and all their different ports and gets the resulting banners and indexes the banners. So it'll, if suppose it's an FTP server and the server is saying it's an FTP server, then the banner along with the IP address and port is saved in it. So it helps you find specific things, like if you want to find a desktop or a server or a router, and different services give out different sort of banners. So suppose you're looking for a D-Link router, it will be the banner will be different from other routers. So that way you can just filter out whatever you need. Like take for example, you're looking for a MySQL server. You can just filter for IP addresses which contain MySQL servers running on a specific port. So we'll see some of Shodan's basic operations. So the first one is country, and this lets you filter results by country. And the other one is the host name, and this helps you filter based on the host name or the domain of what you want to search. And the other one is net, which helps you filter based on an IP range or a subnet range. And of course there is OS, which helps you filter based on the operating system running on the computer. And the very important one is port, and it helps you filter out only specific ports or certain ranges of ports. So we'll just see a few screenshots of Shodan. So this is what the Shodan website looks like, and we can filter based on country over here, like country.in:, and you will only get results for websites within servers within India. And then you have filtering based on port number, and here it's only filtered out port number 21 along with only country in. So it will only give me results for IP addresses which are in India and they have port 21 open. So you can see the results over here. So this is the practical demonstration of Shodan, and before you start searching with Shodan, it is best that you register yourself for the website, because if you're using only the public website, then you can only search for a certain amount, but if you have a user account, it allows you to search more results. So we'll have a look at Shodan. So this is the main web page over here, and okay, this is the main web page over here, and I can search based over here. So I'll click on this drop down menu over here, and suppose I only want results for FTP, so I'll give FTP that, and it will just input the operator for me, and I'll give country India, so IN. So I'll give search, and these will be the IP addresses which have port 21 open, and I can even filter out by cities sometimes, and suppose I have give Bangalore, then these are IPs in Bangalore which have port 21 open. So of course we can't open them right now, because when we open them, then it becomes an act of hacking. So this is just searching. So we'll look at other examples over here. So we can go to search directory, and we can get various other results, and you can see there are lots of popular searches. And if you go to the webcam over here, then these will be a combination of operators which help you only get webcams. So you can see these are all webcam servers, and if you try to visit them, you can see that there is a video feed in it. And there are a lot more dangerous things than webcams over here. So take for example over here, this is a SCADA system, and that is something that is used by industries, and if an attacker manages to get into it, he can do a lot of devastating things to the industry. So you can see a few Netgear over here, and default passwords, cameras, and lot more things. So this is just the gist of Shodan. You can do many more functions with it, and hopefully you will browse this website and find more functions and learn more about it. Google hacking. So why use Google? It is one of the most powerful search engines in the world. It is updated very frequently and very reliable. It is what you refer to as hacker friendly, as it has lots of customizable options. And it's very easy to use, and it has an innovative page ranking algorithm. The algorithm is based on lots of things, and on some of the main ones are how many links refer to this website, what is the quality of content, how many posts are there in the website, etc. So what is Google hacking? Google hacking is about taking Google search to the next level. It's about using Google to get the best of the best results. So what are Google operators? Operators are used to refine search results, and they help you get the appropriate results and eliminate unwanted results. Usually when you're searching, there are more unwanted results than your wanted results, and this is very helpful when you remove those unwanted results. And Google operators are sometimes abused by cyber criminals for their own bad purposes. So these are some basic operators and advanced operators. We'll look at their definitions right now. So we look at the operator and its purpose. In title is used to search for websites based on their title, and all in title allows you to search for multiple words in the title, and in URL is used to search for a URL, and all in URL is again for multiple words in a URL, and file type will help you categorize results based on their file type. So if you want a PowerPoint presentation, then you give file type PPT or PDF, etc. So all in text is used to search only on the text based in the page, and site is used to filter results only for that site, and link is for, suppose there's a page with certain links in them, you can use this operator and only get the pages with that specific link inside it. And in anchor is used to search using the anchor text, and the number range is used for locating a number in a search, and date range is for within a date. Suppose you want only results within the past week or within the past month, then the date range is very helpful. So let's look at some examples. Let's look at the site operator and how you use it. So use site : the domain name, and it only finds the web pages for that specific domain. And this is what a example search looks like. So site : gov.in, and another example is site : cybersecurity.org. Let's look at another example over here. Another one is the file type. So here you can give file type : the extension type. So if you want to find documents, like you want to find a Microsoft PowerPoint presentation, then you do file type : PPT. And if you want a XLS document, then you give file type : XLS. So this will help you get results only for that certain file type. Suppose you're searching for an ebook, you just need to give PDF and you'll only get PDF results. And in URL, they're used for getting results based on the URL of it. Suppose you want a URL which has the word PASSW in it, then you use in URL. So let's get to the demonstration of this. This is the practical demonstration of Google hacking. Let us have a look at a few Google Docs. So first let's see file type. So I'll just give file type. Let's look for a PDF and any sort of keyword. Let's type security, and this will give me results which have the word security in them, and the file type of the result is a PDF file. So now let's go to the next one, in text. This Google Doc just gives me results based on what is there inside the text of a page. So cybersecurity, and all these results will have the word cybersecurity in the page. So now let's go to the next one, in title, and in this you will only get results in which the title of a website contains a certain word. So if I give in title cyber, I will get only results in which the title over here contains the word cyber. Let's go to the next one, in URL. Just like in title and in text, this helps you find a URL in which the word that you're searching for is there. Like in this example, the word cyber is in all these URLs. You can see over here, yes. So now let's go to the next one. Now we look at the operator link. So we'll go to google.com. and we'll go link cybersecurity.org. So this will give you only results in which there is a link to cybersecurity.org. So now let's look at the next one, site. So let's go site windows.com. So this will only give you results within the Windows website. So you can see design.windows.com, but every single result will only be inside Windows. So you get your subdomains and also the websites. So now let's look at the next one, num range. So this will only give you results for a number range. So you'll only get results based on the number. So now we'll look into how to use the Google hacking database. So first let's go to exploitdb.com, and it has lots of menus, but first we'll go to the GHDB. So that is Google Hacking Database. So this is a collection of dorks. What is a dork? A dork is a collection of operators for a certain use. So here, let's see what is there. Let's look at some examples. We will look at a few dorks for sensitive directories. So you can see there is already a dork over here. So I just need to hit on the dork, and I will hit on the Google search over here, and it will take me to the Google search. Okay, so all these directories are sensitive directories, and you can see that Google has indexed them because the websites have not had a clear robust.txt. So let's look at some other examples. We will see the most famous one over here, files containing passwords. So we'll use this one over here. So if we visit this, it should probably give us a text file containing passwords, like here. And let's look at something else. Web server direction. So over here. Okay. This will help us find an Apache server. So let's use a Google Doc for that. And you can see here that it's giving you results only for servers which are running this Apache server. So this is the use of
So in this video, we are going to be checking out the demo part of the live HTTP headers, for which we have used the Hack Me Casino. So here in the options tab, we can go ahead and transfer any amount of chips to any other user. So as we try transferring the chips, we probably end up getting an error message because we don't have any chips to transfer. But then to know the backend mechanism of how these details are sent to the server, we're going to use the live HTTP headers, which is a Mozilla Firefox add-on. So make sure that the capture below there is ticked. And when we come back to the application, we again try to send in the try to transfer the any amount of chips to the other user. So after clicking on transfer chips, we go back to our live HTTP headers to see what sort of information that was sent to the server via the headers. So here we are able to see the various different parameters. So we are going to copy that, and we're going to go ahead and paste it on into a notepad file. So once this is done, we are again gonna go back to our live HTTP headers, and we will copy the link. So we are gonna again come back and gonna paste it into the same text file. So once this is done, this will be really helpful in crafting our another page wherein we could send this to a victim so as to perform a CSRF attack. So here, the place wherein we have Bobby_blackjack, we could go ahead and change that value to our account name or our username, that is Andy Aces in this case. So we're going to create a basic HTML file. So we are going to give a space href equals the link of that particular user there. So we're going to close the anchor tag, and we're going to go ahead and close the body tag and the HTML tag. So this basically creates a basic HTML page, and after this is done, we need to actually go ahead and host the file. So in this matter, as we are using the local host, so we are going to go ahead and save it into the XAMPP /htdocs folder itself. Now on the victim side, a victim could probably easily go ahead and log into his account, and we could send the link of that page using which we could go ahead and perform a CSRF attack, that is the cross-site request forgery. We could just send in the link of that page using various methods, whether be it via chat or any email or any messages. So once the victim opens up that page, so after he clicks onto the link that we were able to craft, so we see that his amount that he actually had, the total amount of chips that he actually had, gets reduced by the amount that we had actually specified in that file. So here in this case it was 1000 chips, so 1000 chips were actually reduced. So again, coming down to the attacker side, so as we log in to the account, so on the attacker side, we were able to see that the attacker was able to get 1000 chips, that which we were able to actually get it from the victim. So this is about a CSRF attack that was performed using live HTTP headers. So in this video we'll be having a demo of the hack bar Mozilla Firefox add-on. So basically we are using the BTS pen testing lab vulnerable app basically here. So as we can see, we are under the vulnerability tab, XSS reflected challenge 1. So we could see a search bar here, wherein if we could enter any sort of search query, it gives us a result. So let us try and give hello world. If we get any answers, I don't think so we're getting any answers here.
So it says that no result found for hello world. But then in the URL, it is again showing the keyword hello world. So what we could do with the hack bar is we could go ahead and load the URL. So as to make it pretty easier, we're going to split the URL. So once the URL is split, it would become a lot more easier for us to go ahead and inject the XSS payload. So in this scenario, we are giving in the basic script alert XSS. So let us see if this actually works. Yes, it actually did work. So this is how we could go ahead and perform various other attacks as well, such as whether it be the SQL injection or the cross-site scripting. There are various different other features as well, such as the MD5 menu. So we could probably give in any text here. So for example, let us just take an example. So if you want to convert that to MD5 hash, we could go ahead and do that. Or base64 encoding, or base64 decoding. So we have like SHA1, SHA256, ROT13 encryption as well. So under encoding, base64 encoding, decoding, URL encoding, URL decoding. So these are really important even in cross-site scripting as well. So these encoding mechanisms are again really important during cross-site scripting. So we have like other things like reversing, strip spaces, strip slashes, add slashes, and various other useful strings. So this really comes in handy for a penetration tester for while searching for any sort of vulnerability such as SQL injection or cross-site scripting in Major. So this was about the hackbar tool. In this video, let us go and have a look into the Firebug Mozilla Firefox add-on using the clickjacking vulnerability. So for this, we are using the BTS Pen Testing Lab, which is our vulnerable web application, and we are using the HCon SDF framework for this. So here we could see that we are logged in as the administrator, and we could create post, and we could write an article and post it across the web application here using this web application. So let us go ahead and write in something. So basically after this is done, this gets posted here. But then the administrator of this website probably gets a message here from an unknown person, wherein that links to a page which says that click below to win your prize money. But then something kind of seems fishy here. So let us go and see what exactly would be hidden behind this page. So for this, we'll be using the Firebug tool. We'll go to the Tools tab. Or we can go right here. And we can open up the Firebug. So as we saw in the presentation part about the various different tabs and their different work that they do in the Firebug. So for this video, we'll use the CSS tab. So as we can see the CSS part of this page, and under the value for opacity, let us go ahead and change the value from 0 to 0.5 and see what holds there. Okay, so as we were thinking that this page would be this was suspicious and something was fishy here. So we can see that if the administrator clicks here, a random post would get generated and get posted onto his site. So basically, the attacker could even make him to drag and drop onto these boxes and then again make him post without his knowledge. So here, using the Firebug, we were able to see how we were able to change the values of the in the page and get this thing working. So let us again have a look the Firebug. So again, if you want to edit something, you can go ahead and edit here. And you can go ahead and edit many things here and check out how they work. So this was about the Firebug.
In this section, we'll be seeing how to do a port scan using Nmap. So first of all, what is an open port? Open port is a TCP or UDP port which is configured to accept packets, and a closed port is a port which rejects all packets. And port scanning is the process of identifying ports that are open in a target system and determining the services that are running in that port. So what is Nmap? Nmap is a free and open source port scanning tool. It is available for Linux, Windows and Mac, and the GUI version of Nmap is called ZenMap. And Nmap has been there for a long time, and if you look at this picture, you can see it's from the movie Matrix. And the process that's being done here is, first, Trinity, the hacker in this movie, is running an Nmap scan against an IP address, and she's getting back what services are running in that IP address, and it's and she finds that one of the services running in that IP address is vulnerable to a certain exploit, and she's running the exploit and she's resetting the password and gaining access into that. So this shows that the process of port scanning and vulnerability scanning has been the same throughout. So let's see some basic commands when it comes to port scanning. In order to run a simple scan, you just give nmap space the IP address of the target you want to scan. For a UDP scan, you give nmap space IP address space -s capital U, and for a TCP scan, nmap space IP address space -s and capital T. And if you want only a certain port range to be scanned, then you give nmap space -p the starting port and hyphen the ending port. So from 1 to 21, this is the command. So I give nmap, that command, and then the IP address. So you can see the result of a port scan over here, and you can see the result for a TCP only port scan, and only for a specific port range. You can see it's scanned only from between 1 and 82. So from the last one, you can see there are lots of results, but for this, there's only the results between 1 and 82. So there are a few more commands. If you want to find the services and the version information, then you give nmap space IP address space -s and capital V. And to find the operating system of a target, then you give nmap space IP address space -capital O. So let's look at nmap scripts. Nmap scripts allow Nmap scripting engine allows you to write simple scripts, and they allow you to automate a wide variety of networking tasks, and it can be used for different things like vulnerability detection, vulnerability exploitation, find if there's a backdoor installed, network discovery, and a lot more. So in order to first list the available scripts, you first change directory to this location in your Linux computer, and if you give ls, it will give you the list of available scripts. And let's see how to use a script which is used to find vulnerabilities. So there is a script which can be used to find the Windows MS08, 06 and vulnerability. So I'll give nmap and space -- the script script and the script name space the IP address that I want to scan. And there is another script to check if the anonymous FTP login is allowed in a server, and it's exactly the same. Nmap space -- script space FTP anon.nsc space the IP address. So first you're giving nmap, you're defining that it's a script, and then you're giving the script name, and then you're giving the target IP address. So you can get more details about other scripts at this location. So again, when it comes to port scanning, there is some defense you can do. If you have a good firewall, it can detect that there is a port scan being run and stop the attacker. And as always, you should reduce the attack surface, and you should only open ports that you really need to, and don't allow unnecessary services to run. So let's go to the video demonstration. In this video demonstration, we're going to see how to use Nmap to do a port scan. So this is going to be my target XP machine. So I'll just go to C and start my XAMPP installation over here. So I'll go to XAMPP control and start Apache, MySQL and FileZilla. Just minimize that. And let's find the IP address. Let's go to CMD and type ipconfig. So it's 192.168.56.101. So let's go to Kali now, and then to the terminal. Give Nmap the IP address that you want to scan. So it's 192.168.56.101 and hit enter. So you can see Nmap is started, and you can see it has found some ports over here. So now let's see some different options in Nmap. So I'll give Nmap the IP address I want to scan, and then -p 80. So it's only gonna scan port 80. So now it's found that port 80 is open. So let's again clear the screen, and then Nmap the IP address that you want to scan, and then -p 1 to 100. So this will only scan ports from 1 to 100. So you can see it has found two ports between 1 to 100. So that's 21 and 80. So again clear the screen. Again Nmap 192.168.56.101, and then -st, and this will only find the TCP ports. So you can see it has found some ports over here. So again clear the screen, and then Nmap the IP address you want to scan, and then -su. This will only find the UDP ports. So you can see it has found some UDP ports. So again Nmap the IP address you want to scan, then -p80, and then -p80 and the service version. So you can see it has given a lot more details. So it has found that it's an Apache HTTP service running over there, and it has found it's a Win32 computer. It has found the PHP version and all other details. So let's again clear that, and then nmap 192.168.56.101, and then hyphen o, and you can see it has found the operating system of that target. So you can see it's running Windows XP, and you can see it has found that it's Windows XP SP2. In this section we'll be seeing how to use nmap scripts. So let's go to our terminal in Kali and give nmap the target IP address and hyphen script and the name of the script you want to scan against. So we're going to give the ftp anon.nse script. This is going to find, and we're going to give the port number also. So we'll give port 21, and this will find if the anonymous login for FTP is enabled. So we'll hit enter, and you can see that the port is open and it has found that the anonymous FTP login is allowed. So let's open another terminal and then give telnet the IP address of the target, and then 21. So you can see it's connecting, and we'll give the user as anonymous, and password is nothing, and you can see it has been logged on. So we just clear the screen, and then again nmap the IP address of the target, and then hyphen script, and then we're going to give http php version, and we're going to give the port as port 80. This is going to find the PHP version that is running in the target server. So you can see it is found. So you can see that it has found the version over here. So you can see it is 5.3.1. So let's again try another script. Nmap target IP address, and then hyphen script, and then smb check vulns.nse. So this will try to find whether a specific vulnerability on SMB is there. So you can see that the check is disabled because it's telling us to add the unsafe, the argument for unsafe. So we're gonna again give script hyphen args is equal to unsafe is equal to 1. So this enables the unsafe scanning. And you can see that it is vulnerable. So you can see it is vulnerable to the MS08067 vulnerability. In this section we'll be looking at vulnerability assessment with Nessus. So what is Nessus? Nessus is one of the most popular vulnerability scanners. It is free for personal use, and you can buy the subscription if you want to use it for commercial purposes. It has a client server architecture, as in if you want to do a scan, you send the command to the Nessus server, and the Nessus server does the scan. Normally it will be that you directly do the scan yourself, but with Nessus it goes through the Nessus server. So the different operating systems that support Nessus server are Linux, Mac, Windows and Unix. and it has also features like network vulnerability scanning, web application vulnerability scanning, Windows malware scanning, and a lot more. So you can download and install Nessus from this link over here, and once it's installed, you need to do some basic configuration before you can start. So in Linux, you just type this command and start the Nessus server, and in Windows, this is the command for opening it. And after that, you go to this location in the URL 127.0.0.1, and port will be 8834, and then you can access the Nessus server. And after that, you have to register yourself, and you will get an activation code which you also have to give in, and it will download some plugins, and after that you can start using Nessus. There are some basic terms when it comes to Nessus. First is plugins, and plugins contain different types of vulnerability lists, and policies are used for configuring different options for a scan, like whether it's a network scan or a web app scan, etc. And the scan section gives you the list of old scans, and also you can specify new scans to be started. So let's do a step by step of a network vulnerability scan. So first, we'll be creating a policy called the basic network scan. So just select it and give basic network scan, and you give a new name for it, and you can also give a description if you want, and you type this type of scan, which is internal or external, and if you want, you can give the Windows credentials, and then you go to new scans, and you give the target IP address, and also you select the policy that you just made, and then the scan will start, and it will give you the list of vulnerabilities that it has found, and you can see it has ordered it according to priority, like information, low, medium, high, and critical bugs. So once you click on them, you can view the entire vulnerability details. So let's look at the step by step of a web vulnerability scan. So again, you create a policy, but now you choose web application tests, and you give a name for it, and then you give the complexity of it, less complex or more in depth, and based on that, it will take longer for more in depth. And you can also give the login credentials for the website, and you can create and then you give new scan, and then you give the IP address of whatever you want to scan, and you can see it's again listing the different vulnerabilities. So you can see there are some high vulnerabilities, there's some very critical vulnerabilities over here. So you can also create a custom policy, and for that you just give advanced policy, and you give some policy details, and you can enable whichever plugin you want. So if you want something to be enabled, you just give enabled, and it will enable all of them, and if you want to disable something, you just give disabled. So after that, you just give you again go to new scan, and you give your custom policy, and you can see again it's listing the vulnerabilities after the scan has been completed. So let's look at some defense for Nessus scans. So most important of all, a good firewall will detect that the Nessus is doing a scan and block that attacker from scanning it. And also you should reduce your attack surface on the server. So you should only open a port if it is really needed, and do not allow unnecessary services to run. In this section, we'll be seeing how to install and configure Nessus in your computer. So I have my Kali over here, and I'll go to the home folder, and I'm just going to copy the Nessus DEB file that was downloaded from the internet and paste it in the desktop. Let's open the terminal and cd into the desktop, and we're going to give sudo dpkg space -i nessus.deb. So this is the name of the DEB file, and then hit enter. So it's unpacking, and it's setting up Nessus. So it's saying that all plugins are loaded, and you can start Nessus by typing this command over here and then going to this URL. So we'll give sudo etc/int.d/nessus and start. So this is start Nessus. So let's go to a browser over here. And then paste that link, and it's asking me if you want to trust this connection. I'll give yes. So I'll add exception, confirm security exception. So Nessus is loaded. So we'll go to get started and give a login and a password. So you have to give a username that you're going to be using and the password that you're going to be using. So we'll give next, and you need to give a activation code. So you have to go to the Nessus website and get an activation code for the free version. This is the URL that you need to go to. So we're gonna get the free home key, and if you want for commercial purposes you can get it from here. So you just have to register, and you have to fill in some details. And you will get it in your email. So after that you just have to copy it and paste it over here and give next. After that, Nessus will be configured. In this section we'll be seeing how to use Nessus. So this XP computer is going to be my target machine, and I'm just going to start XAMPP over here. So I'll go to XAMPP control and start Apache, MySQL and FileZilla. And we'll find the IP address. So I'll just give ipconfig in cmd, and you can see the IP address is 192.168.56.101. So let's go to the Kali attacker machine. Open up the terminal. And give sudo /etc/init.d/nessus d space start, and this will start Nessus. So it is said that it has started Nessus. So let's open our browser. Nessus can be accessed by going to localhost port 8834, and you can see it's loading. So you can see it has loaded, and you can log in. And give the username and password. So this is the main screen you're going to be getting when you log in. And we'll go to policies, new policy, basic network scan, and we'll give that policy a name. we'll give it network scan, and we just name it network scan 1. So you can give a description if you want to, and then give it next, and we'll give the scan type internal or external. We just leave it as internal, and if you want to give the authentication for Windows, you can give it over here. So this will find some client-side vulnerabilities. So I'll just give save, and you can see there's a new policy over here now. So let's go to scans, and then new scan, and then give a name for this scan. So we'll just give it scan 1, and we'll select the policy, the network scan 1, and the folder will be my scans, and in the target you're going to give the IP address of your XP or your target, whichever. So it's going to be 192.168.56.101. And just give launch. The scan should start. So you can see the scan is running. So this might take some time depending on the bandwidth or how many services are there in that computer. So you can see it has found some vulnerabilities. So we'll click on that, and you can see it has found some critical vulnerabilities, some high vulnerabilities, some medium and low vulnerabilities. So let's just click on one of these vulnerabilities. So it will give you more details about it. So you can see the type of vulnerability, how to fix it, the description, all those details. So let's open it again, and so it has found an Apache vulnerability also. So you can see the description, all the details over here. And is also given the solution. It's telling you to upgrade the Apache. So let's again go to scans, and we just pause that scan and then stop it. Let's again go to policies and new policy. We're going to give web application test. This is going to find web application vulnerabilities. So again, we have to give a policy name. We'll give it web scan, and then next, and we'll give the scan type less complex or more in depth. We'll just give less complex for now. So it's telling where to start scanning, so we'll just leave that as it is, and okay, we have to fill that. We'll give BTS lab and give next. If you want to give some authentication details, you can give it over here and then give save. So let's again go to scans and then new scan. We'll give that scan a name, web scan, and we'll select the policy as the web scan policy, and we'll give the target IP address 192.168.56.101, and then give launch. So you can see the scan is started. So let's open that, and you can see it has found some vulnerabilities, some information. So now you can see it has found a lot more vulnerabilities. So let's open it, and you can see it has again found a critical Apache vulnerability. It has found some cross-site scripting vulnerabilities, and you can see it has found another low factor vulnerability in which sensitive data is being sent over plain text as plain text, and it's giving the description, and it's also giving a solution over here. Thank you. In this section, we'll be looking at the Metasploit framework. So what is Metasploit? Metasploit is one of the most widely used and one of the best penetration testing softwares. It has a wide range of exploits, and it is used for developing and executing exploit code. It is free and open source. So there are some basic terms that you need to know before we look into Metasploit. So what are they? So what is an exploit? An exploit is something that takes advantage of a vulnerability in a target system in order to gain access to it. And a payload is a code that is executed on the target machine after the exploit is run. And an encoder is used to avoid any errors due to bad characters, and also sometimes to evade antiviruses. So what is Medpredator? Medpredator is one of the most advanced payloads for Metasploit. It is very stealthy because it injects itself into the running process of other programs, and it allows us to perform various operations in the victim's machine. So let's look at the different Metasploit interfaces. There are several interfaces for Metasploit, and some of them are like MSF console, MSF CLI, and the web version. So let's see some basic commands for MSF console. Info provides information about an exploit. So you give info and the exploit full path, and it gives you information about it. And search can be used for searching an exploit. So you can give search windows, and this will give you the results of all the exploits that contain the word Windows in them. And session is for listing the different sessions that you have on other computers. And in order to open a session, you give sessions space -i space the number of that session. And you can use the set to set values. So if you want to set the R host, so I give set space R host, the IP address, and there are multiple options in show. So you can give show options, and this gives you the different options for an exploit. And show payloads gives you the specific payloads for this exploit. And show exploit gives you the list of available exploits in Metasploit. And show targets gives you the different vulnerable operating systems for a particular exploit. And in order to use an exploit, you simply do use space the full path of that exploit, and to exploit, to run an exploit, you just give exploit and that exploit is run. So let's see how to exploit a Windows XP vulnerability. So we'll be looking at the MS-08-067 remote code execution vulnerability in Windows XP, and the vulnerability is caused due to the Windows Server service not properly handling crafted RPC request. And for this exploit to work, you need to know the IP address of the vulnerable machine, and the different operating systems that are affected are Windows XP and Windows Server 2000 and Server 2003. So first we have to access the MSF console. So I just type MSF console in terminal, and this is what it will look like. And you just give search MS-08067, and this gives you the exploit. So first we're going to give use the exploit location, and then we're going to set the payload as the Windows Medprinter bind TCP payload. And you can set the rhost also as the IP address of the target, and it's just simply you just type exploit, and the exploit will start. And after successful exploitation, you will get a Medprinter session. So you can see over here Medprinter session 1 opened. So you can get all you can list all the commands available for Medprinter by just by just typing help in the Medprinter interface, and you can see all the options over here. And you can type the shell command in order to access the CMD shell, and screenshot in order to take a screenshot of the computer. And you can type hash dump in order to dump the password hashes of that computer. So first we're going to save the hashes that were dumped. So you can open any sort of notepad or leaf pad in Kali, and just paste that hash dump that you got over here and save it. And you can also use the MSF CLI interface. This is if you don't want to open the MSF console, and it's very fast to use the MSF CLI rather than the MSF console if you know exactly which exploit you're going to use. So over here you can see just about typing MSF CLI, the exploit, the rhost also is defined, and then the payload. All that is given in one single command, and by the end of it you have the Medprinter session. So what are some defenses for this particular attack? First of all, the operating system and the applications in that computer should be up to date, and there should be a firewall working both at the network and machine level, and a good antivirus might have stopped the payload from running, and a tool like Emmet, which is also called Enhanced Mitigation Experience Toolkit, will also help migrate these sort of attacks. So let's see the video demonstration. In this section we'll be seeing how to use Metasploit. So we have one XP machine over here and one Kali. The XP is going to be the victim machine. We'll go to start, run CMD, and then give IP config to find the IP address of XP. So we'll just note that down. Target IP address. So 192.168.56.101, and then minimize that, and let's go to the Kali computer, and this is going to be the attacker's computer, and then open up terminal, then give MSF console, and this will start Metasploit. So you can see Metasploit has started, and we just give clear. So this is the MSF console. We'll give search ms08-067. so this will find any exploits with this word in it. So we know we want to exploit this vulnerability, so we'll search for that. So you can see it has found one matching module, so that's this over here. So it has a disclosure date, the rank, the description, all that. So the name is what we need, so I just select that, copy it, and then give use, right click and paste that. So this will use this exploit now. So you can see it has changed and it's saying the name of the exploit over here. And then give show options. So this will give you the options that you need to fill. So the R host is not yet filled, but the R port is already there. So now we're going to set the R host, and we're going to give the IP address of the target. So that is 192.168.56.101. Hit enter. So that has been set. And then we're going to give show payloads. This will give us the different payloads for this particular exploit. So you can see there are lots of payloads. We're going to set the Windows medpreter payload. So we're going to give set payload space Windows/medpreter /bind TCP. So we're going to give the bind TCP payload for medpreter. Hit enter. So you can see the payload has been set. So we'll give show options again. So this is showing the options for the payload. The last one was for the module, and this is for the payload. So I'll just give exploit, and you can see the exploit has started, and you can see the medpreter session has been opened, and a medpreter shell has been given to you. So now let's give sysinfo. This will give us the information about that computer. So you can see the computer name, the operating system, the architecture, and all these details. And then we'll give shell, and this will give us a CMD shell over there. So we'll give cd / and now we are in the C directory. So you can see all the files over here. So we're in the root of the C drive over here, and we're going to make a directory called hat, and then you can see there is a new we gave the command to make a new directory, and now when we list the files again, you can see there is a new directory called hat, and then we'll give exit. So now we are back in the Medprinter shell. So we'll give screenshot, and this will take a screenshot of that computer over there. So you can see the screenshot is saved in this location in root. So we'll go to places, home folder, and the screenshot should be there. So you can see this is what the XP computer looks like right now. So I'll give hash dump, and this will dump the hashes in that computer for the different users. So you can see it's over here. Select it, copy it, and then go to applications, accessories, and then leaf pad, and then paste it over here. And then go to file and save that. And we'll save it in the name hash.txt. We'll be using this later when we go to the off-crack section of this course. So you can give help, and it will give you the different commands for Medprinter. You can try using all of them and learning more about it. Thank you. In this section, we'll be seeing how to use the MSF CLI. We're just going to pick up where we left off from the last Metasploit tutorial. So you have the Medprinter shell still open. We'll give exit, and you can see the Medprinter session is closed. And then we'll give exit again, and we're back in the terminal. Clear the screen. Let's go to our victim XP over here, and go to turn off computer and restart it so that we can do the exploitation again. And it's restarting. So it's restarted, and you can just log in. And now it's ready for exploitation again. So let's go back to the terminal in Kali. And then we'll use MSF CLI space exploit /windows/smb/ ms08_067_ net API. So we're giving the exploit over here, and we're going to give the payload. We're going to give the payload as windows/medprinter/bind_TCP again, and we're going to set the R host to the IP address of XP 192.168.56.101, and then space capital E, and then hit enter. So before we searched through the MSF console and we found the exploit, we found the different payloads and we set a payload. But in this case, because we know all these details already, you can directly go to the exploitation process like this. So the exploit is running, and the exploitation is over, and you have a Medprinter shell. So MSF CLI is very useful if you already know the exploit you're going to be using, the payload you're going to be using, all those details. So you can use MSF CLI to do quick exploitation. In this section, we'll be seeing how to crack Windows passwords using offcrack. So how do Windows passwords work? Windows passwords are stored in a file called Security Accounts Manager file or SAM file, and they are in a hashed format, and the SAM file is located at Windows System32 config SAM. So what is offcrack? Offcrack is an advanced password cracking tool. It uses rainbow tables to crack passwords, and it cracks both LM and NTLM hashes. It can crack the passwords of Windows XP, Vista and Windows 7, and it can be booted from a CD or a pen drive. So let's look at the steps that we'll be doing. First, you have to get the password dump from a target system. This can either be through physical access or through exploitation. Like before, we dumped the hashes after installing MetPrinter in the victim's machine. So you can see the hashes are saved in a file called hashdump.txt, and you have to open up offcrack and install the rainbow table. So we're going to be installing the XP free fast rainbow table, and you can load the password dump file that you saved and just start cracking. And after some time, you can see some of the passwords are cracked. So you can see the password for user XP2 is cracked and the password is password. So you can get larger rainbow tables at this URL over here. So the bigger the rainbow table, the more passwords that you can crack. So let's look at some defense for offcrack. First of all, if you have strong passwords, then it will become very hard to crack it using a normal rainbow table. And you should, in order to avoid your SAM file being taken from you physically, you should limit physical access to your computer. And if you have full disk encryption, then the attacker cannot take your SAM file without the decryption key. So let's see the video demonstration. Thank you. This is the video demonstration of Windows password cracking. So let's get started. So let's first get the hashes table into our Kali computer. So it's been copied, and let's open up terminal and CD into the desktop, and then we're going to go into the directory in which we have kept the zip file. So I'll give CD tables, and then you can see there is a zip file over here. In this case, it's table.zip, but it can be anything else. So we just give unzip the file name of the zip file. So I'll give unzip tables.zip. So it will get unzipped. So you can see it has been unzipped. And now let's go to applications, Kali Linux, password attacks, and then offline attacks, and then offcrack. So we just open it, and then click on tables and select XP free fast, hit install, and it will tell you to choose the directory which contains the tables. So it's in desktop in a folder called tables. So we'll just open that and give open, and then give OK. So it's been loaded. So now let's go to load and then give pw dump file. So this will be the password hash dump file. So let's again go to desktop, and there is a file called hash.txt. We'll open that. So you can see it's been loaded. So let's just hit on crack. So it should start cracking. So you can see XP is starting to be cracked. The password for the user XP is being cracked. So after some time you can see that it has finished cracking fully. So you can see right now it has found the password, and the password is password 123. So we can stop now. Thank you. In this section we'll be seeing how to do SQL injection using SQL map. And first of all, what is SQL injection? SQL injection is a type of vulnerability that allows attackers to inject malicious SQL commands in order to compromise a database server, and sometimes it allows attackers to bypass login screens, and if it is successfully exploited, then the attacker can compromise the entire database. So what is SQL map? SQL map is an open source penetration testing tool, and it automates the detection and the exploitation of SQL injection vulnerabilities. It is available at the URL over here, sqlmap.org. And first let's see how to exploit get based SQL injection using SQL map. So this is the command to start exploiting. So first you give SQL map space -u space the URL that you want to target, and in order to find the list of databases, you can give SQL map -u space the URL space -dbs, and this will give you the list of all the databases if it is vulnerable. And if you want to find the details of a table inside a database, then you give SQL map -u space the URL that you're targeting and --tables space -D and the database that you found. So in the last one you found the list of databases, and now you're trying to find the different tables in a particular database. And again, like that, you can get the details in a table. So you're giving SQL map -u the URL that you're targeting space -d the database, and -t the name of the table, and --dump, and this will give the details in that table. So here let's see how to exploit post-based SQL injection. So again, like last time, you give SQL map -u and the URL that you want to target and the data that is being submitted in that form. So you'll give -data, and you give username, which is the field that is being filled, and the password. So you give username is equal to admin, and password you can give anything, and there's also another field that is being sent, that is login. So that is equal to login. So after that, it will try to change the data that is being submitted in order to do SQL injection. And if you want to just dump the entire database, you just give SQL map -u the URL and the data's over here, and space -dump. So this will just dump the database. So let's see some defense when it comes to SQL map. First of all, there should be secure coding, and if there is secure coding, tools like SQL map won't work because SQL injection would not be possible. So you can refer to the OWASP SQL injection prevention cheat sheet over here. And if you have a web application firewall like Mod Security, even if you have a SQL injection vulnerability, Mod Security will make it such that it is very hard to exploit it. But even then, a web application firewall only protects so much, and it is best that you do secure coding. In this section, we'll be seeing how to do get-based SQL injection using SQL map. So this is my XP computer over here. It's going to be acting as my web application server. So I'll go to XAMPP and just start Apache and MySQL. And then go to run cmd ipconfig. This will give me the IP address of my XP computer. So let's try accessing that IP address and /BTS lab. So this should get us into the BTS penetration testing lab. Let's open LeafPad. We can save our URLs over here. So let's go to vulnerability, SQL injection and SQL injection 1. So you can see there is a page over here, and we'll just copy that. And paste it. Let's open terminal. SQL map space -u space the URL that you want to target. So this is the command we're going to give. So let's hit enter. SQL map has started. So it's found that the backend database is MySQL and is asking if you want to skip the test for other databases. So I'm going to give yes, and it's asking, do you want to include all tests for MySQL? We're going to give yes. So it has found that the get parameter ID is vulnerable, and is asking you want to keep testing for other vulnerable parameters. So we're going to give no, and you can and SQL map is shut down. So let's go again, SQL map -u and then the URL that you want to target, and then we're going to give space -dbs. This will give me the list of databases available. So you can see it has found there are 6 databases. So let's find what's inside BTS lab. So I will again give SQL map -u, the URL you want to target, and then hyphen tables. So now we're going to try to find tables of -D BTS lab. So this will find the tables inside the database BTS lab. So it has finished. Let's scroll up and see. You can see it has found 2 tables in the database BTS lab. So one of the tables is post and the other table is users. So let's give the same command again. So we'll just give SQL map -u, the URL that you want to target, and then we're going to give -d BTS lab, that is a database, and -t the table that you want to target, and then --dump. So this will dump the entire contents of the table users in the database BTS lab. So it's asking, do you want to store the hashes into a temporary file? So we'll just give yes, and it's asking, do you want to crack them via directory based, dictionary based attack? So we'll give no. So you can see it's been dumped, and you can see the details over here. You can see the hash, you can see the username and everything. You can see the email ID that it has been registered with, all those details. In this section, we'll be seeing how to do post-based SQL injection using SQL map. So we'll go to BTS lab and the login page in BTS lab. This is vulnerable to post-based SQL injection. So we'll give right click and view page source. So this is giving us the HTML source of this page. So let's try to find the form over here. So I'm just searching for form. And you can see the details over here. So we just open up leaf pad from accessories, leaf pad, so that we can save data. So just save that. So login.php is the link that we're going to target. So I'll just copy that. And let's write down the post parameters that are being sent. So the parameter username is being sent. And also the parameter password. We'll also paste that, copy that and paste that. And the parameter login is also being passed. But you can see the value for that is already set. But for username and password is not set. So for username, we'll give anything. And for password also we'll give anything. But for login, it has to be login because the value has already been set here. So we just copy that and then paste it. Let's open up the terminal over here. And then give SQL map -u, the URL that we're going to target. So that's login.php. And we're going to give -data space. And in double quotations, we're going to give the details over here. So we're going to give username is equal to anything and password is equal to anything and login is equal to login. So this is the data that is going to be sent. So and then -dump. This will dump the databases. So let's just hit enter, and SQL mapper started exploiting, and you can see that it has found the backend database is MySQL, and we just skip the test and we'll give yes, and then for the next one it's asking if you want to include all the tests for MySQL. We'll give yes, and SQL map has found there is a 302 redirect, and it's asking do you want to follow. We'll give yes, and it's again asking the redirect is a result of a post request, and it's asking do you want to resend original post data to the new location, so we'll give no. So it's found that the post parameter username is vulnerable and is asking do you want to test the others. We'll give no, and it's asking do you want to store the hashes in a temporary file. We'll give no, and it's asking do you want to crack them. We'll give no again, and you can see it has dumped the data. So this is post based SQL injection using SQL map. Thank you.
So in this section we'll be seeing how to set up and see the general usage of the Canvas pen testing tool. So I have this file called Canvas dependencies, so I have to install all the programs from here. So I'll just copy this, go to accessories, terminal, and give sudo apt get install -y yes to everything, and the list of programs that we want to install. So I'll just give it my password, and it'll take some time and install all these tools. So it's been set up. So now let's extract Canvas. It's been extracted to a folder. Now let's copy the tar file again and go to our file system, temp folder, and paste it over there. So again, let's go to terminal. Let's go to desktop, and let's cd into the Canvas folder. List the files. You can see there is a file called install canvas. So let's go into that folder, and it contains a file called install canvas.sh. So we'll make it executable. We'll use sudo chmod +x install canvas.sh and give the password. So now we'll run the program. Sudo install canvas /install canvas.sh. So it's gonna ask if you want to install any missing dependencies. So we can give yes, and it will install one more dependency that we missed before. So it's asking whether you want to download the latest version or install from a local archive. So we'll give local archive because we already have it downloaded and we have kept it in the temp folder. So you can see it is showing that it's present in temp/canvas. So now we have to give the canvas install directory. So we just leave it default, which is /opt/ and get installed to opt. It's asking us if we want to remove the folder in temp, in the file in temp. So we'll give yes. And it's asking if we need the GeoIP database. We don't need it right now, so we'll give no. So let's clear the screen. So cd/opt, and you can see the folder over here. So we might want to rename this. So we'll give sudo move canvas underscore 7.00 to just canvas. So it's easier for us to access. So you can see the folder name has changed. So let's move into that folder. So let's give sh space run canvas.sh and canvas will start, and we have to give accept to the license. So we'll do accept, and program has started, and you can see this is the home screen that you see, and this is the current callback and the current target address. You cannot edit it there, you have to add it in the add host. So you can start a new listener and you can give the type of listener, the port, etc. There's also a search module in which you can search for any word you want. So we'll give Windows, and you can see it's showing the result which contain Windows. So we can only look for Java, and you can further filter your search by all these types. You can give OS and give Linux, and it will only list the Linux exploits. So you can see current status, canvas log which contains log about this tool, and debug log. So this is the node tree, and this is our computer over here, and you can also control canvas using command line. So if you want to see the description for an exploit, you can just give one exploit description and it will tell you about the exploit. It will give you the CV name, the exploit details, etc. So let's close it and open a new terminal tab. Let's look at what is inside the run canvas.sh. You can see it's creating a variable called Python, and it's giving the path of Python, and it's running run canvas.py from Python. So we'll edit this right now. And we'll give the proper path of canvas, which is /opt/canvas/run canvas.py, and save it. So now let's give sudo space ln space -s /opt/canvas /run canvas.sh space user/bin/canvas. So now this will make canvas in such a way that you can run canvas from any location in this computer. So let's hit enter and give the password. So now you can go to terminal and you can simply type canvas and canvas will start. So you can see the tool is loaded, and you can see over here it's neatly organized into exploits, different types of exploits, web exploits, and remote exploits, local exploits, client-side exploits. And you can see the exploit packs over here, Trojans that you can build. Listeners if you want, and you also have favorites over here. Client D is sort of like autopon in Metasploit, and this will serve exploits based on what computer browser is visiting, and change it accordingly and try to get inside the target. And this is the famous MS08067 exploit. In this section, we're going to be seeing the working of the Canvas Client D exploit. So let's get started. So we have our Canvas machine and our Windows 7 running. So let's go to Applications, Terminal, and run Canvas. And you can see Canvas is started. So under favorites, we can go to client D, and you can see the exploit description. It's a HTTP server for client-side vulnerability from the computer. So we can double click on it and give the host, and we can give automatically detect exploits, or you can only select a select number of exploits. So we're gonna give automatically detect exploits, and you can give a port and the response template. So here you can determine what the user is going to see when the exploit is being run. So we can just do penetration test and end of session redirect. So this is where the page will be redirected to after it's done. So you can change the payload that is going to be running, and you can also use a mailer to mail to the targets. So let's just give OK, and you can see it's starting to initialize. And now let's go to our victim machine, Windows 7. Go to our IE, and then go to 192.168.56.103.80.80, and you can see it's running some pages over here. And on the Canvas machine, you can see a new window is opened up saying listener. So that means the computer has been successfully exploited, and you're able to run commands in it. In this section, we'll be covering APTs, or Advanced Persistent Threats. So what is APTs?
the A stands for advanced, and that means making use of zero-day exploits, cryptors, packers, rats, botnets, and DDoS, and sophisticated email attacks, and all these come under advanced type of attacks. And the next one is persistent, which means they keep trying to hit the target until they get that information that they're looking for. And the threat is the hiring of human elements behind the attack. It is not simply a virus or a worm that is doing it. It is an actual person who is only targeting you. And this also means there might be an insider perspective for this whole attack. So who's mostly behind APTs? Criminals and mafias. They might be behind APTs, and advanced crackers, and they're usually well funded, and because they have to spend lots of money on advanced type of attacks, and some of them are state sponsored or even sometimes corporate sponsored, and like I said before, they don't give up until they get inside the target. So talking about defense, 50% of corporates that were attacked by APTs were compromised. And the worst thing about APTs is that for years they can never be found, and even companies with ISO 27001 certifications, CISA certifications have seen APT attacks, and many of them have succeeded. And one of the main reasons for APT attacks to succeed is because the communication between management and security teams is not that good, and they don't help when it comes to guarding against such attacks. So let's look at some APT technologies. What we're seeing here is a JDB attack in which makes use of a Java drive-by in order to download and execute a exe into the victim's computer. And you can see over here that the result for that JDB has 0 out of 52 in an antivirus scan. So it has been scanned by 52 different antiviruses, and it has not been detected in even one. And you can see bots for sale over here. A bot means an infected computer that is controlled by a botnet operator, and they're very, very cheap over here, and an attacker might use these to do a DDoS attack. A crypto is a tool that is used to encrypt EXEs such that they can't be detected by antiviruses, and you can see they're pretty cheap, $15 to $25, and these also give a 0 out of 52 results sometimes. And you can see some different features that are in it. It has startup features, it has a random execution delay, it can detect when it's inside a sandbox or a virtual machine, you can change the icon, assembly information, all these sort of things. And this is the advertisement for an advanced rat. You can see the rat has so many computers connected to it. This is only one screen, and you can see there's a lot of space to scroll over here, and you can see it's giving the operating system of the computer, the country, the IP address, PC username, the different how many cores are in the CPU, and you can run commands in it. You can do a lot of things, and you can see it's sold like any other product, any other software product, and you can see all the different functions that it has over here. It has an AV killer, which means it will disable antiviruses like Avast, Avira, AVG, and Malwarebytes even if they're installed. And so even in a later state, if the antivirus companies get to know about these malware and write a signature for them, the computer that is already compromised will have their antiviruses disabled, so they won't be able to get the updates and remove the malware. So this is the level of advanced technologies that you're facing against. So you can see the rat can be even used for a DDoS attack, and it has a Bitcoin miner. This might not be that useful when it comes to an APT attack, but you can see the different things it can do. And this function over here is a very interesting function in which the attacker can get the stored passwords from all the major applications in the computer, like Firefox or Chrome or Thunderbird. All these saved passwords will be retrieved and shown over here. So let's look at worm warfare. Worm warfare means the usage of worms in order to do a specific attack, and they can search for specific SMTP key strings to determine whether to attack this person or not, or they can work based on time zones. If they might only work against a certain time zone and attack a specific country. Worms can do a lot more after they've gotten inside a computer. They can drop a keylogger or a rat to monitor the user, and they can be made such that they only destroy specific targeted computers. A very famous example of this is the Stuxnet worm, and some of the worms can be written for specific hardwares and softwares, and like applications, like different types of applications and different databases, SCADA systems, PLC systems, and a lot more. So this is just a very basic introduction to APTs. CSPF is making an advanced course focusing only on the APT attacks, and it will be available very soon. Thank you.